All right, Tom, play the intro.
We don't have an intro.
All right.
Yeah, all right, all right. Hey everyone, welcome back to the second episode of our podcast. We're doing a week one breakdown. We're going to talk about the stuff that happened last week that was fantasy relevant, what we think about those players going forward into next week, talk about injuries, talk about some players to add from the waiver wire, and we have a little running back bit at the end where we're going to talk about someone coming into the top 15 and someone coming out. And that's the show we got lined up for today. You guys ready to go?
Sure am. Happy
Yes,
to be back for
sir.
week 2.
Me too, me too. So I guess we can just dive right into it with the we'll start off, we'll get the bad news out of the way. I've got the injury report right here in front of me. First off, we'll go with the big one. Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas was injured in the game. He left with an ankle sprain. The Saints considered putting him on IR. He didn't like that idea. So that kind of tells you that this is an injury that could last multiple games. Are you worried about Michael Thomas? Pat, I'll go to you first.
Obviously, I feel like once he gets back to full health and back on the field, I don't think it's really going to be a problem. I feel like they give him some more time than he needs. I'd rather him take a couple weeks off. For fantasy relevant wise, I mean, it does stink to not have someone, but that's really all my opinion on that.
Of course.
Jamie?
I can draw a parallel to AJ Green a year and a half ago or so. He came back too quickly and hurt himself much worse. I'm sure you guys remember that. So
AJ?
as long as he lets himself get back to full health, I have absolutely no worries about him. But let's hope he does.
I put AJ Green and Michael Thomas in the same sentence too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Who gets the targets meanwhile while Thomas is gone? Who gets the big uptick in targets? Jamie, I'll go to you first.
Both will get a big uptick. You saw Jared Cook putting in more work. I think you guys know that I'm high on a guy named Traquan Smith on New Orleans, and obviously Sanders is going to get more touches too. Obviously, Kamara can see more workload. You know,
It's gonna be Kamara and Murray for like probably 65% of the touches. They're gonna throw the ball to him, run. Like it's just gonna be a different offense. They can't really plug and play someone like Michael Thomas. I'm sure like they'll get their targets. It's gonna be evenly spread, but it's gonna be I feel like a run game, like a run
Mhm.
first or backfield offense.
Yeah, I think the biggest beneficiary of this is no doubt Alvin Kamara. I think he just skyrockets in value right now. I think that Sanders gets a big bump from this too because they brought him in to catch passes and suddenly he's the number one sort of pass catcher, maybe behind Kamara, I guess, because he's going to be getting a lot of work from this too. Moving on to the next one. Unfortunately, Marlon Mack has torn his Achilles. He is out for the season. So this brings a big opportunity for Jonathan Taylor, the rookie out of Indy. Jamie, what do you think the ceiling is for Jonathan Taylor now that Marlon Mack is out of the picture?
I mean, people seem super high on him. I know Yahoo has him projected even over Saquon this week, who, to be fair, had a down week. But Taylor looks good. I mean, they have a solid, not to make fun of a joke from last week, but a 1-2 punch with Hines because he's looking solid too. So, I mean, their backfield's very scary, and their receivers are honestly nothing special, so they're going to want to run the ball.
Yeah, it was a 1-2 punch, but the 1-2 punch was supposed to be Mack and Taylor, not Mack and Hines.
Right.
Pat?
Yeah, I like Jonathan Taylor a lot. I think the Colts have a really good offensive line, and they have a lot of talent in the backfield. Even without Mack, I feel like Hines and Taylor, mostly Taylor, can get the work done. But Philip Rivers sucks eggs. So like if they want to win any games, they're just gonna need to hand the ball to Taylor. So if they're gonna be anything relevant this year, Jonathan Taylor will be fantasy relevant as well.
I think more than relevant. I'm saying I'm pushing for the top 12. I'm pushing for an RB1, Jonathan Taylor. And I did just
Could
trade for
be.
him, so I'm
He'll get
feeling it.
he'll
He's
get the
gonna get the
touches.
touches, and you're absolutely right. Philip Rivers can throw 5 yards and hand the ball off, so it's gonna be a running back offense.
Philip Rivers.
Jamie, you wanna talk about the next one? Blake Jarwin tore
Oh,
his
man.
ACL. You
I've been
wanna you
so
wanna
high
give
on
the
this man.
eulogy?
Yeah, we want to thank everyone for coming here today. I'm really sorry to hear about Jarwin's passing. Oh, he's alive? Oh, yeah. Never mind. So, my poor man, Blake Jarwin, everyone knows I was super high on him and really thought he was going to pull out a Will Disley-like season pre-injury, but unfortunately, the injury came earlier than we anticipated. So, the man that I was super high on is out. Jamie's now gonna have to be a waiver wire rat for a tight end for probably the rest of the season, unless some big trade happens.
Um, I gotta be honest. I don't even know why we're talking about Blake Jarwin. Like
You
he,
drafted him in one league because I did, I think.
I did. Like he's like he's a sleeper in like a deeper leagues. Like to put him next to Michael Thomas and like the injury impact, like it'll stink, but I'm sure their backup will do just as fine. I'm like, it stinks that he
Schultz
got
stinks.
Schultz.
I'm not so sure about
Schultz
that. I
stinks.
saw a lot of Schultz passes going his way and going away from his hands.
Hey, Noah Fant was Noah Hands last year, and now he's
No
He can
offense.
improve,
in
yeah.
my starting tight end spot. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Speaking of him, what tight ends are you looking at in the meantime, Jamie? Who are you picking up off the waiver to replace him?
So I actually got Fant snatched from me in my other league, so I'm a proud owner of 2 Jonnu Smiths.
Okay. Pat, how about you? You said you had Jarwin in one.
Yeah, I had Jarwin, but I had Dallas Goddard. I also
Okay,
drafted
that's
2
a good
tight
pivot
ends that
then,
league,
too.
so I think I'll be fine there.
Yeah, those all sound like
I
good
like-
options.
Yeah, I like. There's a lot of good tight ends that you can get that could end up to be top 10 tight ends. You just don't know. It's too early. They're different every year.
All right, well, another member of Jamie's team down on injury. We have Le'Veon Bell of the Jets. This saves you of having to wonder if you should play him or play someone else. Now you're not playing Le'Veon. He is on IR. He's out for at least 3 weeks. Pat, any thoughts on Le'Veon? Any thoughts on the value of Jets? Who's the starter? We'll go with that. Who's the starter for the Jets now?
Right now, Le'Veon Bell is just I hate to say he's just worthless. Like, no one wants him because even when he comes back and he's 100% healthy, he's still fighting from the inside out from Adam Gase and that awful offense. Not saying that he can't do it, but by the time he comes back, it's just scary. Like, I own him and I'm going to hold on to him because I feel like he is the best back and he will come back, but I feel like he's just flat right now. No one really wants him.
Jamie, your thoughts?
That's pretty fair. I kind of agree. I mean, obviously he disappointed, but he didn't get to play much. Adam Gase kind of is the reason that he's hurt as well. So add another tally to my Adam Gase column. But
yeah, he did say that he regrets putting Le'Veon back in after knowing that he was injured. So that's a problem.
But exciting new guy to watch, LaMichael Perine maybe.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on him.
Did Josh Adams
Jets
get the
backfield
touchdown?
though, so
Josh Adams.
Just a heads up, they play the 49ers next week. Yeah.
All right, so if they lose by less than 30, it's a success.
Great. Okay. Real quick on the next two, just yes or no. James Conner, does he play next week, Pat?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, James Conner plays next week. George Kittle, he plays the Jets next week. He's still, I assume, plug and play for you guys. Yes. Just set it and forget it.
Yes.
If I had him,
but
especially with the matchup.
There you go. Sorry.
No, if I had him, I would start him. I don't have him.
Right, but if you had him, like he's still a
yeah, especially versus the Jets.
Not worried about the injury.
No.
Jamie, not worried.
Not worried whatsoever. He's played through a million injuries before, and he will again. Also, they're going to get a huge lead early on. Maybe Jordan Reed becomes valuable. Who knows?
Ooh, that would be wild.
Like by valuable, I mean
yeah.
plug and play maybe for a week. I don't mean hold on to him.
Wow,
Got one more injury here, not on the offensive side of the ball. It is on the 49ers, though. Richard Sherman has just been placed on IR this afternoon. That's more of a defensive thing. Much more of a defensive thing, because he's on defense.
It's actually all defense.
Yeah, it's 100%. Does this bring down potential matchups for you with wide receivers with San Francisco?
It stinks. I mean, I owned the 49ers D. It stinks not to have... Yeah, I know. It stinks not to have... a great cornerback like that to where you could put... There's not a lot of teams in the league that you could just put someone on like Richard Sherman and, just have him deal. So it's definitely a big loss for San Francisco, but they're talented. I feel like they'll be fine.
They probably will. In other news, non-injury news, Allen Robinson is unhappy on the Bears. His agent has said that he is trying to get a contract done with them, but they could not reach something, and they would be willing to be traded. Not wanting to be traded. He's not demanding or requesting a trade, but they would be very interested in being traded. Do you think he stays with the Bears or gets traded, Jamie?
I feel like in this day and age with how big social media and stuff is and how much stories like that blow up, that stuff gets blown out of proportion. I bet it'll be just like a lot of the others, like Dalvin, like Zeke, like Kamara, where they'll just reach an agreement eventually. But, I mean, he has some good landing zones, so it's not out of the question. But I think if I was a betting man, he'd stay.
If you were to see him go somewhere, Jamie, where would you want to see him? What team would you want to see get him?
Probably Miami or Las Vegas.
Pat, what about you? If you were to leave, where would you want him to go?
Vegas would be awesome. I didn't even think about that. I'd love to see him on Tennessee too.
Yeah, of course, of course. I was thinking New England. He could really solve a bit of a receiver problem there. But I agree that I think it's most likely he stays in Chicago.
Hmm.
That about wraps up that. We're going to just jump right into the matchups now. We'll start with Thursday night. The Chiefs debuted, and the Chiefs they're exactly what we thought they are. They're the best at football. Patrick Mahomes is a stud. Tyreek Hill is a stud. Travis Kelce is the best. We knew all of that. We knew all of that coming in, and like the other wide receivers like Watkins, Hardman, Robinson, they were all decent too. Like everybody gets their fill on that team. The one to talk about, I guess, would be Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He got, let me check my notes here. Yeah, 25 carries for 138 yards, 2 touchdowns, only 2 targets, no receptions. But just that rushing work alone is fantastic. Jamie, you hyped about him?
Of course I am. I made
Yeah.
the comparison last week to Fournette, since they were similar players, went to the same school. And Fournette was the same way when he came into the league. He wanted to run the ball and didn't really want to expand with pass catching. He was getting maybe 1-2 targets a game just like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they look like almost the same player. So I'm going to say that his floor is looking more like a Fournette as opposed to like a goal for him to look at. I think he'll be much better than Fournette has been.
That's what I was looking for there. I'm like, ooh, you're making a comparison to someone who scored much less than him in fantasy. Pat,
Well, obviously I'm talking about when Fournette scored a lot last year.
yeah, if he were to get more receptions, what do you think? What do you think about him now? Are you higher on him?
Yeah, well, it's just a tip of the iceberg with him. He's just in a dynamic offense where he's going to be able to. They have to respect the pass, so he's going to have less people to go through. I think he could be the best running back when this is all over. He's just going to get so many touches. He's going to get more catches too. So for PPR, he's going to get his value too, and he's just going to be dynamic.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him get into the passing game more, get like 5 targets, 6 targets a game. I think it'd be amazing. On to the other side of the ball, the Texans, they played the Chiefs. They play the Ravens next week. Now, David Johnson finished with, I think, 0.1 fantasy points more than Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He had 11 carries for 77, touchdown on the ground, and 3 receptions for 32 yards. Is this the David Johnson of old, Pat? Is he back?
No, but he's like a notch down from where he used to be.
Okay.
We can expect good numbers, but we can't expect like 130 yards a game from him. He's right around, like, he had a good game, and this is like, I feel like, around what you can expect from him. A couple catches, at least 10 touches, maybe get in the end zone every once in a while.
Hey, if that's what I can expect
He's a good back. He's a good back. Like, he's a good back to have.
If that's what I can expect from him, that's a great pick. Jamie, I'm going to throw Fuller over to you. 10 targets, 8 receptions for 112 yards.
Yeah, I mean,
I heard you dropped Brandon Cooks.
Sure did, but I mean, if you remember our segment last week on players we expect to not break out necessarily, but our section was about players we expect to perform better than their ADP or something like that.
Yep.
And Fuller was the guy that I talked about. I mean,
yes.
He did his thing. He went off. He got so many targets as probably the number one option. And he's not just running downfield. That was the thing I talked about, is that his playbook is just a picture of a bunch of arrows going up. He's cutting. He's making harsh, fast cuts. He's beating people, and he's getting to the ball. So I'm in on him still.
You did say that Cooks would outscore Fuller at the end of the year.
So did I. I got to stick with that take.
You guys
not looking so hot,
you did.
But it's only 1 week.
You did. You said Cooks would be the better receiver than Fuller.
Okay.
There's only one guy who predicted that Fuller would be better than Cooks, and he also was the only person in the three of us to win their fantasy football matchup.
He's also the one with the worst camera, though.
Yeah. Well, the Ravens play the Texans next week. Do you expect repeat performances from both, Pat, or from neither?
No, I feel like the Ravens will. I feel like the Ravens will stay dominant. The Texans will have a hard time without a pure wide receiver one.
Okay. We're just going to jump into the next game. Jets and the Bills. Real quick, not too much to talk about on the Jets side. We already talked about Le'Veon Bell. Crowder had a good game, but that's just going to happen sometimes with wide receivers. So I'm just going to ask one question real quick. Pat, are the Jets the worst team in the NFL?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yeah, probably. I think I have to, eat my words after saying the Jaguars are the worst last week.
Me too.
Got the egg sucking factor with Phillip Rivers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Shame.
I think that's
It's a-
all we need to really say about the Jets. The Bills, though, Brown and Diggs both saw some work. They did pretty well. Singletary and Moss did not look quite as good. They both got some of the work as well. It wasn't as great on the eye test. Moss got his way into the end zone, but they play Miami next week, so I'm thinking a big uptick for most of these players. You guys agree?
I agree. I think they're going to be looking strange until an RB1 is established, if they even want to establish an RB1, or if they just want to keep it committee based. So,
Oh, no committee, please.
also,
Pat,
Jets.
I saw a nod down there. You agreeing the better versus Miami?
Oh yeah, they're gonna
I was
they're
gonna say
gonna
Jets.
dominate.
Jets D is good, despite their team
Jets-
sucking.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that Moss is still like a decent flex pick, and Singletary's a decent flex pick too. I feel like just going against Miami, they're both gonna get some touches.
Oh yeah, it's worth
They're both
grabbing,
gonna
but
see a lot of work.
yeah, it's hard to slot one of those guys permanently into your roster until one of them, I guess, emerges and one of them loses out on the majority of those carries. I'm just going to jump into the next matchup. That's really all we have with Bills Jets. Packers Vikings. This should be a nice quick one as well. Aaron Rodgers, 364 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns. That was pretty good. Pat, what do you think? Is he? Can you trust him?
Yeah, I feel like he has that in him. He's sticking with the run first mentality. He had guys that got open. I don't know. I like the Vikings in the matchup, but I feel like Aaron Rodgers could have a great year this year.
Okay, Jamie,
got
do
an
you
in-
trust? Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Jamie, do you trust Aaron Rodgers, or do you still
Um,
need to see more?
I would like to see a little more, but I definitely think he's a very startable player, at least top 12. So I mean, Devonte Adams is obviously a dude. He does not look like he's gonna get, repeat injured once every week like last year. So
True.
I mean, that obviously boosts Rodgers' numbers.
I'm buying into the narrative here. I want to see the Aaron Rodgers revenge tour, but I think I need to see it another game or two before I'm willing to call him a top QB again, at least for
Adam
fantasy.
last year, right?
I did, and it
Yeah,
hurt.
that explains it.
It
Yeah.
hurt a lot. It hurt a lot. That Oakland game was nice, but some of those other games were not so nice. On the other side of the ball, Vikings defense got absolutely exposed. They're starting, I believe, a rookie cornerback and another one that's relatively inexperienced, I should say. Are you willing to stream quarterbacks versus the Vikings now
No,
after that matchup? No,
no, sir.
really.
I mean, there's no way I want to go out of my way to plug and play random quarterbacks that might be playing it, especially when you have to consider if you're streaming stuff like that, you got to find dudes on the wire playing it, and obviously someone maybe a Burrow is streamable or something, someone on the wire who's actually going to do
Yeah.
something. But I mean,
Oh, of course.
yeah, like
I'm not saying
I'm
to try
not,
Haskins out there.
yeah, I'm
but,
not in a hurry
yeah,
to pick up Teddy Bridgewater when he has that matchup.
Okay. Next week, Pat, Matt Stafford plays against the. Oh no, sorry, Matt Stafford plays against the Packers. We can talk about that one. Do you think he's top 12 versus the Packers?
Play against the Packers,
Yep. Stafford plays against the Packers next week.
Lions, Packers. Do I feel like who's top 12?
Stafford.
Is Kenny Galladay playing?
It has not been shown. However, they said that his hamstring is the issue. So for all we know, that's another day to another 6 weeks. We'll see.
Ooh. Yep.
I don't know. They looked really good. Their offense looked really good with Adrian Peterson behind the ball. I guess if it opens it up, he could have another good week.
Okay.
I mean, he's good for 1 or 2 touchdowns every week, I feel like.
Stafford.
We'll
yeah.
jump back into
healthy.
those running backs in a little bit. For now, we're just going to keep moving on with the rest of the games. The Eagles played the football team. We'll start on the Eagles side of the ball. Carson Wentz got sacked 8 times versus the Washington football team. Jamie, does that have you worried?
If I'm somebody with a lot of stock in the Eagles, yes. But I think it's important to remember that Boston Scott was the starting running back, who is obviously
Wicked good pick.
wicked good pick, but he's not a star yet. So Sanders is out. They don't have their their elite running back, their guy. Despite even if you don't think he's elite, he's still their guy. So they don't have a good way to stretch the floor out there, or even have any chemistry built up with the starter. So I say give me till week 3 or 4 to decide if their line is actually trash or if they just actually got unlucky.
Okay, Pat. Next week the Eagles play the Rams. More sacks or less sacks? Got to remember Aaron Donald's out there. He's looking to get them.
More than 8?
More than 8 or
8's a
less than 8.
lot.
It is a lot, but this was the football team.
I'm gonna go with more. I'm gonna go with more.
More,
I'm
okay.
gonna say they hit
What?
more. Eagles are like tissue paper, man. They're like single ply.
Oh no, that stuff's terrible.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, hate that. They are looking to have Sanders back next week. Pat, do you think Sanders is going to be good enough to get the job done? Do you think he's let's say top 20? Okay, out on top
No.
20. Jamie?
Out of
20?
top 20.
Top 20 for Sanders, in or out?
Out of top. I'm gonna put him like right at the end. I'll say he makes it, but he's like 18.
Okay, Jamie, in or out on top 20?
In.
In.
But
Okay.
I'm gonna add the caveat that like, you know how some of those lists will say he finished RBX on the year, but it includes all the games if they're out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it needs to be like a ranking of RBs based on the games they played or something.
Okay.
So
All right,
yes, I think he will.
Yeah. On to the other side of the football. We have the football team, Washington. Peyton Barber managed to fall into the end zone twice into being the RB15 on the week, which is a little higher than I think most people had him projected for, considering he is on the waiver in almost every league. Jamie, do you think this is a committee?
For now, I do. I really hope they figure something out and let my boy Gibson, because he was still the leader in rushing despite having less attempts and no touchdowns.
He was not the leader in points. That was
Sure wasn't.
that was Peyton Barber. Pat, what are your thoughts on this? Is this a committee?
Who cares? Washington's football team. No, I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
you take that back.
Ooh, harsh words about the football
It'll
team.
probably. I don't think Antonio Gibson. I think he'll be like a 3-down back, and then Barber will get a lot of goal line work.
Mhm.
So I guess like.
That's
don't
not
know,
what I
yeah.
like to hear about my running backs.
Same.
Yeah.
It's not what I want to hear.
I mean, for now, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
All right. Gonna move into the next matchup here. We had a vintage Cleveland Browns performance. I said I was ready to get hurt again. I got hurt again. I kept saying it's the Ravens, it's the Ravens. They're gonna lose, but they lost so hard. They lost so hard. Baker Mayfield looked really bad. Couldn't get the ball to OBJ. OBJ had to take a bathroom break in the middle of the game. Pat, you're the resident OBJ owner. Are you worried?
He's
As worried
shaking.
as everybody. They got absolutely stomped.
Of course.
They got demolished. You really can't take anything out of that. It's just going to be an outlier. They're going to be more competitive against Cincinnati, and it's not even going to be close. It's going to be a game. As an OBJ owner, a Chubb owner, a Hunt, like just anybody invested in the Browns offense, I feel like you can't worry about too much about that game. Just put it behind you.
Do they win against the Bengals, Pat?
No,
No? But they
No.
perform better.
they perform better.
Okay. Speaking of performances, Jamie, I'm going to go to you on this one first.
Sure.
Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, their carries and receptions might have Chubb owners a little worried. Chubb had 10 carries for 60 yards, 1 target for 1 reception, 6 yards, and a fumble. Kareem Hunt, 13 carries, so that's 3 more for 72, 12 more yards, and 6 targets, 4 catches, 9 yards in the air. Are you worried about this split load? And do you think even it's going more in Hunt's favor?
I do believe it's going in Hunt's favor. Those of you that know me, talk to me about daily fantasy, know that I'm big into FanDuel tournaments. Right now, I've got one set for tomorrow with. I don't even have Chubb in my top 5. I have Kareem Hunt set to be MVP. I believe he is going to be the guy who's going to get the most fantasy points. And I'm not saying Chubb's a bad football player. I'm
All
saying
year?
Kareem. I'll go with yeah. I believe so.
Wow.
Especially in a
Ooh.
full PPR league.
I think I would still take Chubb over Hunt in total points on the season, but I think it's going to be closer than we thought.
Right.
Pat, if you were a Chubb owner, would you be worried?
I'd be worried.
Oh, I'd be
This would be a good time, I feel like, to get Nick Chubb, though.
Yeah.
I'd be fuming.
Would you be looking to acquire him in a trade if you could?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good buy low
Jamie, would you be
target.
looking to
I'm
buy
looking
him?
at-
Yeah.
He's a buy low
Look at
target,
you, Will.
but again, what I do not know what I'd give up for it.
Of course. Just
I
wondering
wouldn't
if you'd
be
be
trying to
interested
throw
in.
a lot of
Just
stuff
wondering if you'd be
out.
interested in acquiring him. So that's a buy low. Okay.
Something else I want to bring up on that topic though. We're talking about Ravens Browns. J.K. Dobbins.
Oh yeah, we're going right into him next.
Where are we? I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. They're on the other side of the ball. But yeah, Pat, you said that you liked Dobbins and you liked Ingram. So now I want you to pick which one that you like more. Mark Ingram got 2.9 points last week on 10 carries for 29 yards. Dobbins got 7 for 22.
Gus Edwards should be in this discussion.
You want to toss him in too?
It was a 3-person committee.
Oh man,
I like Dobbins. He got in the end zone twice. He
did find his way in there
because of the end zones. Obviously, it was. I'm not worried about Mark Ingram. I feel like he'll get more touches. They're just feeling it out as the time goes on. They're just trying to let everybody run. They have a very talented offense. They're going to go with the best back. I think that J.K. Dobbins' stock is definitely going up. Mark Ingram's might be going down, but I wouldn't vary the scale so much.
If you had to pick right now, Dobbins or Ingram, rest of season?
Dobbins.
Jamie? Dobbins or Ingram?
As well.
I would say Dobbins as well. I think that we can all agree on that. I think Ingram looked a little slower. He looked a little older out there. And Dobbins, he's the new hotness. He's the rookie.
Right.
They play the Texans next week, like we said. I think maybe an increase in the running performance there from them. Maybe another big week for Mark Andrews too.
Mark Andrews is a guy that demands end zone targets, so
absolutely,
he's always going to have that fantasy value. Even if he does that, like have those weeks where it's 3 receptions for 15, there'll probably be a touchdown in there.
There's a touchdown in there, yeah. He's a big body, and Lamar likes to go to him in the red zone.
For sure.
All right, gonna jump into the next matchup. Pat's favorite team, Indianapolis Colts. Oh man. Yeah, like we said earlier, it was a 1-2 punch with Taylor and Hines. Not with Taylor and Mack. Unfortunately, Mack's season ended. Jonathan Taylor, I think the sky is the limit. 9 carries for 22, and more importantly than that, he saw 6 targets, caught all 6 of them, 67 yards. A lot of 6s in there, but a lot of points in there too. Nyheim Hines, I think, is going to be the #1 waiver pickup in almost every league this week. Jamie, disagree or agree?
I think everyone agrees with that.
Yeah, Pat?
Not me. I mean, he will be the #1 guy going, but I don't think he'll be as relevant as you think.
Oh yeah, I thought by #1 you meant volume. Yes, he'll definitely get picked up the most in every league.
Yeah, he will. He'll be picked up the most.
Yeah. Other side of the ball, the Jaguars, they pulled off the surprise win. A lot of us, including me, had them pegged for I had Tank Commander Minshew up there. I thought that this was going for Trevor Lawrence, but apparently not. They pulled out a nice win against the Colts here. I think the biggest story out of it is James Robinson. He got a lot of work. He had 16 carries for 62 yards and a target that he caught for 28. You guys' thoughts on him? Is he legit? Pat?
I love Minshew. I feel like their offense is just made to make games very close. I don't think he's very fantasy relevant unless you need him in a good matchup. DJ Chark's is really the only guy they have.
Right.
I don't know. That's my opinion on it. I like him. I think they'll do 4 wins, 5 wins.
Okay. Jamie, thoughts on Robinson, the new running back there?
He looks good. I'm still kind of confused as to why they didn't go with Thompson first, but after thinking about it, it kind of makes sense because Thompson is probably going to get hurt again, as he always does.
Oh, poor guy.
Maybe they just want to run with a running back with less of a chance of getting hurt, so the team doesn't have to build chemistry with another player. They just want to go with the one that probably runs less of a risk. So I think he's a great player if you got him sitting on your bench or sitting on waivers even. I doubt he's still on waivers in leagues, but pick him up if he is.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jaguars play the Titans next week. Pat, win or lose, Jaguars?
Jaguars versus Titans?
Yep.
Titans.
Yep, I saw the T from Jamie, so I think that means I'm going to go with that as well. This is not a Titans fan stream, I swear, but I think it's safe to say they're going to be the Jaguars.
We're getting there.
We're a little closer than most.
33% of it is.
All right. Well, we're going to jump into the Raiders next. The Raiders played the Panthers. Josh Jacobs came out as the RB1 this week. 25 carries, 93 yards, 3 touchdowns on the ground, and most importantly out of all of that, he is more involved in the passing game. Caught 4 passes for 46 yards. That is huge. Pat, is this enough to push him into the top 10 running backs?
It's not even a question.
All right, Jamie.
Yes,
Not
I think he stays there easily. I think if I had to ballpark a number, I'd say he finishes RB7.
All right, Pat, give me a number.
even 3 RB3 at the end of this.
Ooh, OB3.
Sheesh.
Wow.
Dude, he's the only guy in Vegas.
Yeah, Mariota.
We don't know who any other receivers are. He's a big part of their offense, and Marcus Mariota. Soon he'll be the guy handing the ball to him. So
Maybe in another 7 or 8 weeks when he comes off of injured reserve. Next week they play the Saints. Are you seeing another big finish for Jacobs? Do you think that that's a top 10 week for him or not?
Raiders Saints.
Raiders Saints top 10 Jacobs. Yes or no?
Yes.
Top 10. Jamie top 10 for Jacobs against the Saints.
I'll say Scrapes in at 10, but I do think Saints D can stuff him a little hard.
I still think he's a good player. I think that the game script is going to get out of hand for him. I think he's just not going to get enough work. They're going to be passing too much to try to get back into the game. I think I'm going to have to say that he's out of top 10 next week. Not too
Michael
far,
Thomas?
but true, there is no Michael Thomas. But we'll get into the Saints a little more later. The Panthers on the other side of the ball played the Raiders. Who's the wide receiver one here? Because DJ Moore is supposed to be the wide receiver one. He was drafted as the number one on this team. He had 9 targets. He only caught 4 of them for 54 yards. Robbie Anderson, on the other hand, had 8 targets, caught 6 of them for 115 and a touchdown. Jamie, are you out on Moore and in on Robbie Anderson?
Well, if you remember last week, I was relatively not a Moore fan anyway. However, volume is good in fantasy. 9 targets, despite him only catching 4, he's still getting the most looks. So, I mean, I don't think it's time to hit the panic sell button if you have Moore on your team.
All right, Pat, what about you?
I agree. I think Moore is he's going to be the clear wide receiver one. Robbie Anderson's just that guy who's on that team who just eventually goes for like 70 yards and a touchdown every once in a while.
I mean,
So
he
this was
did
the
it on
rare
the Jets
pop-off?
last year. Yeah, he had that
Yeah,
one.
saying,
I remember
that
the
guy.
20-point game.
I'll never
just that
forget it. I
dude.
put him in my flex. Oh, my man.
He's that dude.
Yeah. They play the Buccaneers next week. I think it'll be interesting to see that matchup. Another divisional rival round there.
Bucks who?
Bucks Panthers next week.
Bucks.
Bucks Panthers, nice little divisional matchup. Back into the Lions. We already talked a little about Stafford earlier. Let's talk about the running backs on Detroit. They saw a fairly even snap count. I think it was 22-20-19 for Adrian Peterson, Swift, and Carrion. Carries were a bit of a different story. AP saw the most by a large margin. He had 14 carries for 93 yards and caught 3 passes for 21. Carrion had 7 carries for only 14. DeAndre Swift had 3 carries for 8 yards, a touchdown, and 5 targets in the passing game. Caught 3 of them and dropped a game-winning touchdown. I'm out on this backfield. I don't want anyone. I'm not interested. Jamie, are you?
So from a just general fantasy perspective, yeah, I think I agree. However, as you know, I did acquire Swift in a trade kind of as an extra piece, so I'm willing to sit on him for at least a couple weeks and hope and pray to God that he does something.
Pat, as our resident Carrion Johnson truther, what's your thoughts here?
I really don't know who you want. I mean, Adrian Peterson got a lot of touches. I don't know if it's always going to be like that.
Right.
He did look really good. So I'm not as high up on Carrion Johnson as I was last week. But we'll see. It's a long season. I wouldn't start anybody in the Detroit backfield right now. Adrian Peterson would be the guy I'd start if anybody. But
Okay. You still believe in Carrion, though?
I do.
All right.
I do.
Jumping into the next game, we have the Seattle Seahawks and the Falcons. This was a huge game for fantasy. There were points coming out every which way you could look. Russell Wilson had a great game. Chris Carson had a fantastic game. Matt Ryan threw for hundreds and hundreds of yards. Julio Jones did it. Calvin Ridley got like 11 touchdowns or something. I don't know. It was pretty wild. The biggest surprise, I think, was Russell Gage coming out as the 3rd pass-catching option instead of Hayden Hurst. Russell Gage finished with 12 targets, 9 catches, 114 yards. Pat, what are your thoughts here on just this Atlanta 3-headed monster, apparently?
I don't know. I mean, they seem to like the 3 wide receivers. They used to have Sanu in there before. It used to be Jones, Ridley, and Sanu. So I guess he could get some targets. I mean, That's a lot of targets. 12 targets is a lot in a game. That there was a lot of touchdowns and not. Did he? He didn't get in the end zone, did he?
He didn't find his way to the end zone, but
Yeah.
that's a huge volume for him, and it's not like the other receivers were lacking in targets either.
Yeah, Matt Ryan can do it. I mean, they're a very dynamic offense. So I like Russell
Jamie,
Gage.
where is Hayden Hurst?
Oof. Honestly, I don't really know, but my only ideas are that as teams with better secondaries as teams with better secondaries start to come up in the schedule, that they're gonna look to that tight end more for the 5 to 10 yard dump pass, little button hook route, and just get him in there. He also got, I think he had 3 receptions for 38, but he had 5 targets as well. So they're probably all the same little game. They were probably all little 12 yard button hook routes or out routes. So I mean, his role is there, and I think he will get touchdowns and get better as the season goes.
Falcons play the Cowboys next week. Pat, do you see a repeat performance from this offense?
Falcons Cowboys. I think it's going to be 31-27 Cowboys.
31-27 Cowboys. Big yards from the Falcons, though.
Yeah.
Big yards. Okay. Jamie, what about you? Falcons?
Over 350.
I take the Cowboys, but I do think it'll be a banger game for fantasy. A lot of scoring.
Couldn't agree more. So many wide receivers in that game next week. That's going to be real fun to look at. I don't think there's too much to talk about with Seattle. Russell Wilson obviously had an amazing game. Do you trust him? Because he was very up and down last year with week winners and week losers, Pat.
I trust Russell Wilson in fantasy more than any other quarterback I've ever started, to be
including
honest.
Mahomes?
Yeah, it's my first year having him, but when you need someone, Russell Wilson is that guy. He will get you those wins. I like him. I think he's an auto start. I don't care what matchup you have. He's an auto start for me.
Jamie, what about you? Russell Wilson?
I like him.
Lock him in?
I'm very high. Yeah, I think always for sure. But in one of my other leagues, he even went before Deshaun Watson and Kyler Murray and Dak, which all of which we thought were pretty insane. But I mean, so far it looks like 1-1 on making the right choice, I guess, for whoever.
All right. Well, next week the Seahawks will have their chance to do it again. They play the Patriots, and speaking of the Patriots, they're up next on our list. I want to start this off by saying the score is officially Belichick 1, Brady 0. And Cam looks great in his Patriots debut. I thought he rushed for 2 touchdowns. He should have had another if N'Keal Harry didn't have, Jello for hands and fumble forward. Yeah, whoops, oh no, here comes a touchdown. Whoa, there it goes. Pat, thoughts on Cam Newton?
I think he's going to be dynamic. It's so cool to see someone with his talent in an offense like Josh McDaniels, where they just know how to get the ball in the end zone. I think he's going to be a great quarterback. To see if he's going to be a good fantasy quarterback is different, but he's going to get a lot of looks in the end zone. He's good on his feet, which is always good. So,
Jamie, any thoughts on the rest of the Patriots? Obviously, I think we all think Edelman is still slow and steady, maybe a flex play. Anything on the rest of them?
Yeah, actually. So you were talking about Newton. I really liked watching the way he ran the read options and the run pass options. So I feel like the Patriots running backs are actually not doomed. Yeah, they might not be doomed actually, because the way that Cam can take the ball and basically make you open is looking very good.
If you had to roster one of those Patriots running backs, which one is it?
Full PPR, White, half or below, Michelle.
Okay. Yeah, I think those sound like good. And I want to ask one more. I almost forgot about this. Jamie, I'm going to go to you. Pat, then I'm going to go to you.
Yes.
I've been on the train this year pretty much since the Patriots signed Cam Newton. I think Cam Newton is going to have a better fantasy year than Tom Brady. I think he's going to finish ahead of him. Jamie, if you had to pick right now, rest of the year, Newton or Brady?
Newton. He runs the ball. Fantasy points.
Pat, Newton or Brady?
Newton.
All right, three Newton, no Brady. Wow, how about that? In New England too.
Sorry, Brady.
All right.
I love you.
Other side of the ball in this game, the Dolphins. They looked like the Dolphins.
Like the Dolphins, yeah.
The Dolphins play the Bills next week, who I think we mostly agree have one of the best defenses in the league. I'd say top 2. Pat, Can you drop every Dolphins player? Is there one you want to roster? I'll just throw some points before we go out there. Full PPO, Jordan Howard finished with 6, Fitzpatrick with 5, Breida with 2, Devontae Parker with 9 and an injury, Gesicki with 6, Preston Williams with 6.
I'm saying that Devontae Parker is startable if he's healthy. I think he's a startable wide receiver. And then Gesicki's going to get a lot of volume. And no one else to throw to or run to.
I agree.
Worth rostering a Dolphin?
I agree that it's worth holding on to Parker if you have him. I also think that someone like Preston Williams might not be a bad shout if you recently got hurt by the Michael Thomas injury, for example, and have no one to plug in. So if you're running to waivers or something, I think that's a solid. He's not gonna do Michael Thomas things, but he'll get you 9 points or something.
No, all right. This just in: Preston Williams, not Michael Thomas.
Piping hot take.
I think you can safely drop every Dolphins player that you have in every format. I don't think it's worth holding any of them right now.
You think even if you wasted a 5th-round pick on Parker, it's not worth letting him see if he pans out?
Yes, Parker had a great year last year. There's no denying that. He was fantastic, especially over the back half. But the first 4 years of his career, he was hampered with this same injury that he seems to be having problems with again now. I don't think it's worth keeping any of them, and I don't think it's worth starting them next week versus the Bills.
It's his crazy ex he can't stop going back to.
Yeah, his crazy hamstrings. Going on to the Chargers. They played the Bengals. What a game that was. Game-winning drive from Joe Burrow. He was robbed twice, in my opinion. He should have had a touchdown with Green, and he should have had a field goal if his kicker wasn't shotgunning Beers on the sideline. But let's talk about the Bengals players. Burrow had a respectable night, but Pat, are there too many mouths to feed on this offense? None of them really had home run games. I was seeing 10 points, 11 points, 8 points.
Yeah, before we get into it, I just want to talk about Randy Bullock, the thickest kicker in the league. People call him Fat Randy, by the way, and he's known for faking injuries.
Oh, man. Really?
I read somewhere that he's known for faking injuries, and after he kicked, he held his calf, and now he's fine. That's amazing.
Well, that's good.
I can't believe.
Wow.
Quick recovery.
That's a narrative.
I've never noticed.
That's a whole narrative there. Whoa.
Thickest kicker in the league.
All right.
But I like a lot. I like a lot what the Bengals did. I feel like they targeted AJ Green a lot.
Yeah,
Joe
he
Burrow
played first time in like 2 years.
Joe Burrow looked pretty comfortable back there.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Boyd didn't get what he wanted. I feel pretty good with the Bengals moving forward. I feel like Joe Burrow can do enough to produce some fantasy relevant wide receivers.
Who's going to be the best player on that offense against the Browns on Thursday?
AJ Green.
AJ Green?
AJ Green.
I think I'd say Mixon. Jamie, what do you think?
I also want to say one of the receivers. I think I'll go Green over Boyd, though.
You're the Tyler Boyd owner in our league. Do you think he has any value, really, as a startable player with Green in the mix?
Yeah, I don't think he's dead by any means. I mean, especially because he's still Tyler Boyd. It's not like he's a no-name player that hasn't done stuff before, even when with other receivers around, you know. So I mean,
would you start him next week?
I think I am.
Okay.
I had some shenanigans happen today. I can't remember the exact scenario, but yes, I had to move him back into starting.
Oh man, that sounds spicy.
Sounds like a good lineup, Jamie. Sounds like a good lineup.
Well, they play the Browns on Thursday. We'll see. I think that's going to be an interesting matchup. Battle of the number one quarterbacks overall. On the other side of this ball, Chargers. They play the Chiefs next week. Austin Eckler, 19 carries for 84 yards, only 1 reception for 3. And Keenan Allen, he caught 4 passes for 37 yards. I looked at Tyrod Taylor in this game, and I was not huge on what I saw, and it really makes me worry about their rookie quarterback behind him. If Tyrod looks like this, what does he look like? But more into the fantasy value. Pat, Eckler, are you worried?
Not really. I like Josh Kelly a lot. I feel like they've done a 2-back system before with Eckler and Gordon. Joshua Kelly.
Yeah.
So I feel like they've done the 2 system before with Eckler and Gordon, so they'll find a way to sprinkle them both in. But I'm not necessarily worried about Eckler. I feel like he'll get his receptions. It's early in the season. I'm not too worried about it at all. Even with Gordon taking into him, Eckler can be a startable running back. So I'm not worried about Eckler.
Jamie, what about Keenan Allen?
I mean, Keenan Allen's always been that boomer bust player, so I think you know what you're getting with him.
Okay.
But
More busts than booms this year.
yes, and also Tyrod's throwing the ball, and throwing the ball is not his strong suit, which is something I actually want to talk about with Eckler too, because he did not get thrown to anywhere near enough to produce at the value that people thought he would in PPR leagues.
Okay. Yeah.
Better than Phillip Rivers?
Well, Philip Rivers made Eckler better. He's probably a better player than Philip Rivers.
I think I'd take Phillip Rivers at least for the fantasy value. Before we get too deep into that hole again, just gonna go into the next game here. Cardinals pulled off the upset win against the Super Bowl playing 49ers, not Super Bowl winning. They had a really good game. Drake looked good. Murray looked good. Hopkins looked good too. Hopkins is the one I want to talk about the most. They acquired him in the offseason. He had 16 targets, caught 14 of them, 151 yards, and what that worked out to in his share of the targets was 44%. So that's just over 2 out of 5 passes went to Hopkins on this offense. Pat, can we put to bed any worries we had with Hopkins? Is he right back up there in the top tier?
Yep.
Jamie? Yep, I see that up arrow.
Hopkins
All right.
is straight to the top. I think we worry about the other ones.
Yeah, okay.
You worry about Christian Kirk.
Oh, I have them written in right here.
Do
yeah,
you? Okay.
Fitzgerald, he caught 5 receptions for a total of 4 yards, and Christian Kirk caught 1 reception
0
for
yards.
no yards. 0
That's a
yards.
point.
1 reception, 0 yards. Yeah, that's a point.
Point!
Point.
That's why we play PPR.
Yeah, gotta get that point. Can you drop these two, Fitzgerald and Kirk?
You can apply context to most things. It really depends what's on the wire in your leagues and how many players are in your leagues. Because obviously,
Are you gonna start them?
I was just talking about Preston Williams because you were talking about if everyone on the Dolphins is worthless. I think I start Preston Williams over either of them.
Okay, Pat. Pat, Preston Williams or one of these players.
I'd probably pick Fitzgerald over Preston Williams.
I think I would
Old
too. I think I'd
reliable.
go Fitzgerald. Yeah.
Yeah, just because he's, I don't know.
I think Christian Kirk is still worth a stash as well. I think
Like
Fitz
an older
is,
Jarvis Landry.
yeah,
I
I think
he's
Fitz,
going to get that.
Much
older,
older.
yeah. Yeah, I think speaking of Fitzgerald being older, he kind of gets tuckered out once we get 4 or 5 games into the season. But I think Kirk might be worth a stash later once that happens.
Pick him
They
up
play
off
the
the waiver
football
wire
team.
weekend.
Yeah, they play the football team next week. I think we're all projecting another win for them. The 49ers, I also think that we're projecting a win for the 49ers next week. They play the Jets. Is Raheem Mostert a top 12 running back next week, Pat?
Ask the Jets lover.
All right, Jamie, we'll come back to you, Pat. Is Raheem Mostert a top 12 running back next week? Is he going to run it all
No.
over the Jets? No.
No.
Really?
I'm going to say no as well.
Yeah.
You think that it's going to get spread out too much with the other running backs? Coleman
Yeah,
and
McKinnon.
And
McKinnon got a lot of work.
he got those
yeah,
touchdowns.
he got touchdown, 3 runs, 3 receptions. I think was McKinnon.
Mostert got-
Correct me if
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
wrong.
He got
but-
a lot of work.
Yeah, so I believe that he'll eat into it, and I mean, I'm just not ready to believe in Mostert, especially because of all the motivational shenanigans and how he wanted that trade real bad, and how we also have no idea who's going to get the work in San Francisco. And
All right.
Wrote-
for all we know,
agree more.
they're up 20-0 in the first, and just start running it with their third stringer.
That's who's the third stringer? Is that Coleman?
Probably, I think.
Pat, is it Coleman? I think it's Coleman now.
It's probably McAuliffe's 10th round pick.
That would be Tevin Coleman for those
My
looking for
God, it's
translation.
Tevin Coleman.
All right, on to what I think a lot of people are projecting as the game of the week. I want to just say once again, one more time, Belichick 1, Brady 0. Buccaneers played the Saints. Buccaneers lost to the Saints. Brady, I think he looked respectable enough in this game. I didn't really have a huge issue with him. More of an issue, Pat, did you have your binoculars? Did you see Gronk out there? I missed him.
Yeah, I saw glimpses of him. Yeah, I don't really know what to say. There's a lot of mouths to feed. I was expecting them to look. They were looking more for him deep. OJ Howard got a lot of touches, more than I'd like, because they were running a 2 tight end set that they like. So I might not be too worried about it. I feel like I'd be more worried about Mike Evans and Godwin's value if Brady goes back to the 2 tight end set and feels comfortable running with Gronk and OJ Howard, and then Scotty Miller's out on the end.
All right. Gronk or Howard right now, Pat. Rest of season. Which one?
Rest of season, I'm gonna go with Gronk.
Jamie?
I will go Howard.
I'm gonna go
I
Howard as
I could
well.
I could see that pick too, but I'm gonna go with Gronk.
I mean, I already dropped Gronk in my other league.
Yeah.
I'm over it.
Just for reference, Gronk had 2 receptions for 11. Howard had 4 for 36 and a touchdown. The other big thing I want to talk about here, Rojo, Ronald Jones. He looked pretty good. He had 17 carries, 66 yards, and 2 receptions. Uh, Jamie, are you worried about that backup Fournette?
I mean, if you're a Fournette owner, which I thankfully no longer am, you're probably at least a decent bit worried. They said that Rojo was going to be the RB1 that is on the team, and
Looks like he is.
they're following through with it so far. And Bruce Arians kind of what he normally says doesn't really matter, but it looks like he's following through on this one so far. So if you're a Fournette owner, trade him or pray up.
All right, Pat. What do you think about Ronald Jones?
I like him a lot, and Brady likes him. Fournette's gonna get some touches, but Rojo for the dough.
Yeah, this is looking like Rojo's offense to you.
It's looking like Tom Brady's offense, but he looks like a very happy contributing member.
All right, yeah. They play, like we said, we play the Panthers next week. They win next week, right?
Who?
The Buccaneers. They beat the Panthers next week.
Buccaneers, Panthers.
Yeah.
I am gonna go with the Bucks. Yeah.
Yeah, Jamie. Yeah, Bucks next week.
Bucks like 30-14, but 2 touchdowns on McCaffrey.
All right. I'm sure all the McCaffrey owners will be thrilled to know we're projecting a good game for him. Who'd have thought?
Yeah, probably a hot take.
Yeah, I didn't think there was really too much to talk about on the Saints. The big story was the loss of Michael Thomas for them, and we already talked about the uptick for Kamara, uptick for Sanders, probably. Most people on that.
Traquan Smith.
Yeah, Traquan. We'll see about that one. I don't know about that.
Oh, it's gonna pan out for me. Just wait.
They play the Raiders next week. We'll see how that works out for them. We're gonna go on to the Cowboys-Rams game now. On the Cowboys side of the game, Zeke is good at football.
Very good.
Amari Cooper had a respectable night. I think we got about what we expected out of the Cowboys, minus the injury to the tight end there. But yeah, Zeke ate. Cooper got his stuff. Gallup, he got some work. I want to talk, I think, more about the Rams. Jared Goff let me down so hard. Jared Goff is just, he doesn't like me, I think. He couldn't throw a passing touchdown. He was very close, but he had a pick in there too. More importantly than that, though, I want to talk about Malcolm Brown, and I want to talk about Cam Akers. I drafted Akers on the Akers owner in our league. He got 14 carries for only 39 yards and only 1 reception. Malcolm Brown, on the other hand, 18 carries for 79 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, and 3 receptions for 31 yards. Jamie, you're the Brown owner. How do you see Brown going forward? How do you view him?
I love him, and all I want to say is that even if those roles get reversed, say 14 to Brown and 18 to Akers, I still think Brown's a valuable pick, just like you can make the Chubb to Hunt comparison, despite the fact that they're both kind of the same player, Akers and Brown. But so I assume that's why they use them kind of interchangeably. They both kind of spread, they both kind of catch passes and also run. So I mean, I think it's just a way to keep fresh legs going out there all the time. So I
Brown
think
startable?
They're both startable. I think both of them are startable, and they're going to split time down the middle.
Okay, Pat, both startable?
Yeah, I'd rather Brown over Akers.
Oh, for picking, I also would.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna stick with Akers. I'm gonna stick with him. I drafted him. I believe in him.
He's in your
really
flex this week, right?
We're thinking about it. I have other options too, though.
I think Brown's in mine, so see you on the couch, man.
Yeah. All right. We'll fight it out. Gonna get into the one of the last games of last week. Giants and Steelers. I had the second overall pick. I drafted Saquon, and I was watching the Steelers game against the Giants, and I saw Saquon get the ball, and I saw him getting tackled as he was receiving the handoff. The O-line was just non-existent. I felt like I was on the hunt for an endangered species looking for the Giants run blockers. Jamie, are you worried on Saquon? Are you sounding the alarm?
I'm not worried on Saquon, no. I believe that the Steelers' D, especially the line, is elite, and they're playing against the Giants, who are obviously not the greatest team out there anyway, but they had no preseason. They're not practiced together. They're probably not communicating well. They're probably not communicating where they need the help, where they need the other blockers. And yeah, I'm not ready to sell yet. If I can see them against some of the other teams, like let's say in their division they got Cowboys, Eagles, and Washington, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so if I want to see them play against any of those three teams, and so we can more fairly judge where they are compared to the field.
Okay. Yeah, so you think they can kind of overcome that problem, and that was more of a Steelers strength than a Giants issue. Pat, gonna send this one over to you. Is this an alarm?
No, it's not an alarm, but it's in the back of your head that you just have to remember sometimes how bad the Giants are. Daniel Jones looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
For the 4 seconds he got to stand up.
Yeah.
I thought I saw a cool stat. Big Ben rushed for more yards than Saquon Barkley.
He did. Saquon, I don't have Big Ben's stats on hand, but Saquon had 15 carries for 6 yards. There was a point in the game where he was averaging
Big Ben didn't have a lot
negative.
of rushing yards. Let me let you know.
That just screams that screams second overall pick right there.
Oh, it sure does. He was able to salvage the night and at least be startable with 6 receptions for 60 and a really cool one of those things where he vaults over a guy. I love watching him do that. It's so cool. But
I'm not too worried about it. I just hope that the line can come through for him. But
I do too, because I like Saquon.
Giants receivers kind of had a night.
Yeah. Darius Slayton.
Shout out to T-Mock for putting him in his starting lineup with confidence.
He believed in it.
That was ballsy.
It
I liked
panned
it.
out for him. Yeah.
Still lost.
Big move. Giants play the Bears next week. Pat, do you see this being an issue again with the O-line, or do you think they recover next week against the Bears?
I think they do better than they do against the Steelers, but I think that Saquon is held to probably under 80 yards. I'm going to say under 80 yards.
Jamie, give me a yards number on Saquon.
For rushing or scrimmage?
Yeah, rushing.
Rushes 50, breaks 100 in scrimmage though.
Ooh, okay, I like that. I certainly like that. I'll say that he breaks 50 at least. I think 60 actually is a good sounding number there. That O-line looked. I was gonna say that O-line looked rough, but I couldn't see them. They were nowhere.
Sure.
They were it was like a swarm of yellow bumblebees out there. Poor Daniel Jones. Steelers next week. They play the Broncos. Big Ben is back, and he's looking better than I thought he would. Juju got some touchdowns. Deontay Johnson got some receptions. Pat, what do you think about this Steelers offense now that Big Ben is back?
Oh, they look like a different team. I mean, obviously Big Ben loves Juju. He's quick and you can just get him. Deontay Johnson got some looks. Washington got some looks. They didn't run it like they wanted to, so they're going to need that guy. But Benny Snell looked great too. I think that they have a really good offense when Big Ben is playing, even at his age. Like, that's his team.
Yeah, I wanted to jump into Benny Snell next. James Conner exited that game very quickly with an ankle injury, I believe it was, and Benny Snell came out and put up a solid performance. I want to say 19 points, something around there.
Sounds right.
Benny Snell, definitely someone you should be stashing on your bench if you're the Conner owner. Even if you're not the Conner owner, I'd say he's worth grabbing. I certainly thought he was, because I grabbed him off the waiver this week in our league. But yeah, I like me some Benny Snell.
Yeah, I mean, if they ever come up with a clear Connor's the one, this guy's the two, whether it's Snell or Samuels, the two is obviously valuable too. I started Samuels for like 6 games last year when Connor was out or something. So their team does look so much better with Big Ben, like Pat's saying. Obviously, Juju goes up, Johnson goes up. Once those two are trending up, the run game becomes more viable.
The Broncos I want to get into. They played the Titans. Gordon looked pretty good in his Broncos debut. Noah Fant, he had a good game too. Gordon is the one I want to talk about more here, though. Philip Lindsay looks to be battling with turf toe. Pat, how high up do you project Gordon now?
I think that he's going to do great. He could take the workload. He's not used to getting those 25 touches a game, and he has some good receivers around him when Cortland Sutton comes back. I like them a lot. I like the Broncos. I feel like Melvin Gordon can be a top 15 running back this year.
Next week versus the Steelers. In or out, top 20 on Gordon?
I'm going to go with in the top 20 just because Philip Lindsay's out and they're going to need to run the ball to beat him.
Jamie, in or out on Gordon, top 20 versus the Steelers?
In.
In?
for sure. Gordon's
Wow.
like, he's gonna get all the volume now. Locke was the question mark on the year, right? And I
For
mean,
me, yeah.
yeah, he looked phenomenal. I think you actually went to better on this time, but I was calling it out to at least pass. I don't know how I remember, but there was a time where I was saying how much it impressed me when Locke dropped back, didn't panic, and he literally like pointed where he wanted his receiver to hook.
Oh,
And
no, I saw that. I saw that
it
one.
was
Yeah,
it was perfect. It was
it
straight
looked
out of
good.
straight out of the playbook. So I
Looked
think
good.
He was
I think the
fangirling.
team's great.
It looked good.
Yeah.
I saw that one. It did look good. Last one. Pat, we saved you. Favorite for last. Somehow we end on the Titans. Again, I promise this is not a Titans hype stream. They play the Jaguars next week. What's the ceiling for Derrick Henry next week, Pat?
180 yards.
Oh wow, Jamie,
Touchdowns.
what do
Yeah,
you think?
that's
We might see some
honestly, it's
backup
not
work.
unreasonable. It's not unreasonable. I guess like 150.
Oh
We might see some
man.
Darrington Evans work.
150 rushing. I'll call one touchdown on him though.
Oh,
might see
okay.
some
I thought you were gonna call a reception. I'm like, let's not get crazy here.
31 to 10. He had a reception last week.
Yeah, I think the bigger story
Did he have I
with
think he
the
got
receiving.
three of three.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me.
I think the bigger story with the receiving work is Corey Davis for the Titans coming out with 7 catches and 101 yards. Pat, what do you think about Corey Davis?
I think that they had everything planned on AJ Brown, and Corey Davis was just that dude that week.
Surprises the Broncos.
I mean, he's a great receiver too. He's just battling injuries and never really found his spot. But I mean, if the run game is that good, he can really find a spot in this offense next to AJ Brown and Jonnu Smith. They got some great
Alright.
targets.
Oh, my favorite, Jonnu Smith. I love Jonnu Smith, by the way. We're gonna jump into a waiver wire pickups here. I want to throw him out there as the first one I think you should grab. I love me some Jonnu Smith. Pick him up if you need a tight end.
Of course.
Jamie, you want to throw us someone from the waivers that you want to
Yeah.
add to your team?
You just talked about tight ends. I believe Dallas Goddard is a good tight end
Ooh.
if you're looking for Goddard for a tight end as well. I mean,
Great call.
Smith, Fant, Goddard, all in that little same tier of probably finishing tight end like 8, 9, 10 or something, but they all get work, and that's about all you can ask from a waiver tight end, right?
I mean, you can ask for a little more if you want, but that's up to you.
O.J.
I
Howard.
think, yeah,
Howard,
OJ Howard's
tight
in
end.
that group too.
Yep.
If you believe that he'll be getting those targets all year.
I don't know how many you wanted me to go through. I have a decent amount, but
We'll go around.
Sure.
We'll come back to you on another one. Pat, you want to throw out one? Hopefully not another tight end.
No, yeah, I just threw it out because we're all throwing out tight ends.
Yeah.
My biggest priority that I got this week that I looked for was Benny Snell Jr. Being a part of the James Conner committee in one of my leagues, and I feel like he's talented enough to take over the workload if James Conner is out or vice versa. And then Scotty Miller was another one I was telling Jamie yesterday. I'm pretty high up on. I don't know if Godwin and Evans can keep that production. I feel like they're just going to not get the volume. I feel like he's a safe guy. He obviously looked comfortable to him. He's been working with him a lot. I like Scotty Miller a lot, especially in PPR leagues.
Okay, yeah. I like the Benny Snell pickup too. I added him in our league. I am going to throw out Russell Gage. We talked about him earlier with the Falcons. I added him as well. I think he might end up being my flex play this week against the Cowboys. I really hope he can repeat that performance, and if he can keep that up, that's going to be a steal off the waivers.
absolutely. I had him on my list as well.
Anybody else you got there, Jamie?
Yes. So a lot of people we covered quickly. So Hines, Snell, Goddard, Brown, obviously.
course.
We have not talked too extensively about Robbie Anderson.
Oh, yeah.
I believe, you know how Pat is just talking about how he doesn't know if Godwin and Evans can keep up their projected numbers because, that because of reasons, and that opens up the field for Scotty Miller. I feel
You were
like,
saying the same thing about DJ Moore.
Yeah, DJ Moore is going to be the only guy demanding doubles, especially because Anderson kind of goes for the long ball. So if you double on the guy going for the long ball, they're going to dump off to the best running back in football, and he's going to run for 15 every time with that little dump pass. So
Yeah, he does do that.
right. So Robbie Anderson, solid wide receiver off the wire.
Yep. All right, Pat, anyone else you want to throw out here for the last waiver wire pick?
Yeah. The only other person I picked up off the waiver wire this week in one of my leagues was Joshua Kelly.
Had him down.
That's a good one.
I feel like he's the clear number 2 as of right now. instead of Justin Jackson, which seemed differently going into the start of the season. But they liked him a lot. They gave him the ball. He found a way in the end zone. Not only is he a good handcuff pick, but he could be good standalone value in PPR league. So.
All right, yeah. We got one last little
I got a
segment
couple
here
more
that we
if you
thought
want
of.
me to keep going.
Oh, you got a couple more?
do.
Yeah. If you want to throw out 1 or 2 more.
15 more to be exact.
Yeah. So
Yeah, 15.
I talked
Keep
about
going.
We talked about Traquan, so I won't go on about him. I think Traquan Smith would be a great wide receiver addition. Paris Campbell on Indy. Anyone have any thoughts
Oh,
on him?
yes. He's already on my team. Yes.
Is he? Okay.
Man, I'm realizing I've really combed the waiver wire pretty hard this week. I got a lot of guys off of there.
Right. I really like Paris Campbell. I think he's promising and could obviously do some stuff, especially with Philip bolted to the floor Rivers that we like to talk about and meme on all the time. And the other one
he's got those
is
lag bolts right through the feet.
the player who caught a touchdown for Jacksonville and looked good for 3 receptions for 38 and a touchdown, I think.
Here he
Laviska
comes.
Shenault.
Laviska
I
Shenault.
think I said that right, yeah.
Laviska Shenault.
So, yeah,
Gadget player extraordinaire for the
if
Jaguars.
you're a player feeling the gap in your team with Michael Thomas gone, those are some of the receivers I'd look at: Gage, Anderson, Campbell, Shenault.
You heard it here first, folks.
Traquan.
You replace, you replace Michael Thomas with Laviska Shenault. All right, yeah. I'm gonna jump into our last little segment here. We got a fun little thing. We took a look at the top 15 running backs this week in PPR format, and we each came up with someone who is going to leave that top 15 next week, and someone who is going to come into the top 15. Pat, I'll let you go first here. Who's coming in and who's going out?
I think someone who is going out. Well, let me say who I think is going to come in this week. I think it is going to be Todd Gurley. I think
Okay.
Todd Gurley is going to come and find a way. He can't be too far outside of the top 15. But he can't. I feel like he could get in the end zone again against Dallas. I feel like it's going to be high scoring. They might throw the ball to him. I like him a lot.
All right, who's he going to push out?
I mean, is it safe to say that Peyton Barber isn't going to be in the top 15 again?
Perhaps.
I'm trying to remember who I had. Jamie, you go
I
ahead.
think it's absolutely safe to say. Yeah, Jamie, you go.
So for top 15, I did 2 in and 2 out. Do you want both now or one of each? Or?
Just give me one. Just give me one.
Okay, so for one of my outs, I have Barber, so I can give the other one if you'd like. But
Yeah, give the other one. I think we all know Peyton Barber's not coming back.
Going out is Mostert. We discussed that game before.
Mhm.
I don't think he's gonna be
Really,
high
Mostert
fantasy
out
value.
against the Jets.
He's not gonna have high fantasy value this year. Last week he was projected at what, 16? He's projected for like 11 this week because I think the people are looking at the same thing I'm looking at, where it's they're gonna be ahead by too much and just run with some chump.
All right. So who's in then?
Jonathan Taylor, for one.
Jonathan Taylor is in. Okay,
Yeah.
I like that.
And the other one, David Montgomery.
David Montgomery.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay, David Montgomery is breaking into the top 15. We'll have to see on that one. I'm
So
not so
last
hot
week-
on that one.
Last week,
Yeah.
he had 13 for 64.
Yeah, that's
This was
respectable.
through a groin injury that is supposed to be all better now. And this is with Tariq Cohen, who's supposed to be only a guy who really kind of catches. He was taking away a lot of the snaps because Demont was a little banged up
Oh,
still.
yeah.
So
Yeah, of course.
I just, I'm not calling him to be elite. I'm calling him to be top 15. I think Demont
I
can weasel his
think
way
you're
in there.
calling for an elite David Montgomery.
Yep, I hear it.
You heard it here first, folks. I'll throw mine out there. I think this is a pretty easy one. I think Saquon Barkley will be a top 15 running back next week.
Oh,
I think.
I didn't even think of that.
I hope and I pray. But I do believe that Saquon Barkley is going to return to form and get in there into that top 15. And I think
put him
he's
in
going to
for a
push
reason.
out. Oh man, it's because I know the reason. It's because you're playing me. You don't actually care. You're not taking this seriously. Get out of here.
Bears look pretty good.
I think that he's going to push David Johnson out because I don't want to say Peyton Barber as well. David Johnson has a tough matchup versus the Raiders on a Texans team that I think is not that great and going to be behind the Ravens big time.
It's a good take.
I think David Johnson is out of the top 15 and Barkley replaces him.
I also think that someone that I like to go in is Kenyon Drake.
Ooh, okay.
Could be a good week for him. And I think someone that could go out this week could be Aaron Jones. I think he might have a tough week against Minnesota.
Push the Lions.
Yeah, they
The
played
Lions,
Minnesota
yeah,
last week.
first Lions, sorry. Lions, sorry. That's
All
what I
right, Jamie, you want to hit me with the second one there?
Second in, I already gave both.
Oh, okay.
I did
Oh, I'm sorry.
Taylor and Demont.
Oh, right, yeah, right. I forgot that I got so swept up in the David Montgomery hype, I forgot about Jonathan Taylor. Jeez. Yeah. I had one more too. Miles Sanders, I think, can push his way, just eke into that 15th spot there. I think he can do it.
Got rid of him. You don't need
I
to,
think that's
you don't
in
need to
the.
sell him anymore.
I think that is in the line of thinking that the missing lineman returns on the left side as well. Yeah, you guys have anything else you wanna take away going into this next week before we wrap up?
Not much. I had a couple buy low targets, but we talked about them. So
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Pat, anything else you want to toss out here?
Don't start Phillip Rivers.
Never.
All right,
Sucks eggs.
that's solid advice. Solid advice.
Yeah, let's go. That's
All right,
it.
yeah. I'm excited
Fair
for
enough.
week 2 of football. Week 1 felt
I
so
know,
good
we
to
all
watch
are.
again. Oh God,
Very
yes.
excited.
Feels great.
We'll see you fellow fantasy players on your couches out there. See you next time.
Thanks for watching,
Later,
guys.
boys.
Let us know what you thought, disagree or agree down in the comments. Thank you.